From PBS.org, no sex, no dating, no marriage, no children. Interest grows in the 4B movement to swear off men. So you've got these feminists. Bill Burr on Saturday Night Live, he said there's a lot of ugly women that are mad feminists, and everybody laughed. So those jokes are welcome. There's a lot of liberal women who are saying they're going to swear off sex with guys. And the first thing is, the response from a lot of guys, like just regular dudes, was nothing is changing. Like these women weren't the pinnacle of attractiveness as it was. Then conservatives are coming out and they're going, no, wait, don't. This is the funny thing about whenever they do these movements, like we're going to boycott sex. It's like that's what conservatives are trying to get you to do. And then you're doing it. So if those aren't familiar, 4B stands for, it's 4 words in Korean. That means sex, dating, marrying men, and having children. Young women on Instagram and TikTok are the primary demographic behind the recent surge. Quote, young men expect sex, but they also want us to not be able to have access to abortion. They can't have both. Young women don't want to be intimate with men who don't fight for women's rights. It's showing they don't respect us. Here's the funny thing. Among Gen Z women, Trump gained 11.
I was surprised by that.
Gained 11 points.
Right.
So apparently this is a fringe minority position of degenerate women who are just like, we want irresponsibility. We want no responsibility. What's that? And then they're saying they're going on a sex strike with a bunch of guys who didn't want to be with them in the first place.
And they're cutting their hair, some of them.
Yeah, they're shaving their heads. They're getting tattoos. Yeah.
The whores say no, but they act yes. Like they say, no, we don't want to listen to men. No, we don't want to do the things that the Puritans tell us. But then they go and act doing all of the things that the Puritans that say they don't want. All the religious people are like, don't be whores. They're like, we want to be whores, but just to piss you off, we're not going to be whores.
Take a look at this. Young women under 30 shifted 11 points toward Trump in 2024. So that is not that Trump won young women. It's that he gained 11 points among them. He wasn't doing very well to begin with. But this idea then that these liberal women are like, no, men are against us. Like, actually, Trump's winning.
Look, they can get on the internet and make all of the silly TikToks that they want to make.
And they will.
And we will make jokes about them. But if they're actually committed to this, good. We appreciate it. We don't want you guys having kids anyways, because you're just going to raise them wrong. Or maybe like I saw some women talking about like aborting only boys. So maybe
a lot of them are.
Maybe they'll just kill the boys or do other terribly monstrous things. So just stay away from men. You're crazy anyways. Just stay away from men.
Do you think they were even dating men to begin with? These blue-haired, 195,000-pound people.
I mean, there's dudes. We used to have this guy this guy was our.
You call dating apps dating.
No, it's not. There was this guy that was our guitar tech for half a tour, and he was a complete pile, right? Like, I don't think the guy even wore clean clothes. But when he would get on his phone to do like the dating apps, he would just do this. Like he was just swiping every single one of them, right?
Like playing Tetris.
Mass mailing.
Yeah, and it was exactly just throwing the net as wide as possible. Those guys are the ones that these women are talking about. Those, if you're just like. Yeah. Anyone that's actively doing things to better themselves, that's not the guys they're talking about.
I got bad news for these ladies.
Oh, no.
The movement's labeled transphobic and homophobic. It's Korean radical feminism, and the radical feminists in Korea don't consider trans women to be women, so they're transphobes. So all of these American women are transphobic.
What will happen to the
American women?
What will happen to the trans women who have already
transphobes.
joined the movement and shaved their heads? Though now that's like there's no going back for them now. That's bad.
The crazy thing is,
reap what you sow.
This is actually really interesting. let me read this because this is really important for the history of the planet. The term 4B emerged in Korean feminist circles on Twitter around 2017 and 18. After a highly publicized 2016 murder of a woman by a man. The murderer said he did it because a woman had ignored him. He was not charged with a hate crime. The first 4B groups articulated their principles in the Korean feminist wiki site FemiWiki, defined as the motto of a radical feminist, which means non-marriage, non-procreation, non-relationship, non-sex. They gave broader recognition on Twitter in 2019 through various feminist social media accounts. So what I was reading is that one of the things that causes this to bubble up is that South Korea is pushing natalism massively because they're having a population collapse.
Yes.
Massive. I think South Korea has like the lowest population fertility rates. And so they're coming out being like, dude, everybody, you need to have kids, otherwise the country will collapse. And so in response to this, with everything going on with the stories, it's what I read was not that it's the principal component, but it was that it was the underlying animosity that led to these women deciding that they were not going to reproduce. This is quite definitively behavioral sync. Do you guys know what that is?
No.
Mass formation psychosis?
No, behavioral sync was when they took the rat utopia experiment. They put rats in a rat facility with unlimited food and water and said, we're going to watch and see what they do when they want for nothing. Eventually, with no need to secure food or store food or whatever, their behavior started to go crazy. Rats became homosexual, outright. Some, they were called the beautiful ones, would only groom themselves and do nothing else. They would just groom all day. Their behaviors became aggressive and destructive. They stopped reproducing and eventually killed themselves. If the researchers took one of the rats that had been behaviorally manipulated and put it into a normal rat population, it would spread the bad behaviors. This stuff is exactly that. Humans have to have babies in order for there to be more humans later on, because humans are not immortal. But now you've got the left continually pushing these anti-natalist ideas. They're pro-abortion, they're pro-sterilization, and now they're outright saying 4Bs. They are what I think is going to happen is we are not isolated like the rats in these rat utopia experiments. We have a large culture through communications which pushes people to the brink, and they start engaging in behavioral sync. But the rest of us, we're humans. We can see this and understand it.
Right.
We say, hey, that's a bad thing. We're going to remove ourselves from this. These women, largely women and liberals, they're not going to have kids. So in 20 or 30 years, they are going to be in retirement homes, government funded, they'll keep voting for. But over a long enough period of time, we are probably going to vote against these things. Conservatives have kids, liberals do not. And the end result is going to be a bunch of 70-year-old cat ladies begging for government handouts, and they will have no family and no resources and no voting power.
I feel like they hate themselves. Like they've been taught to.
Yeah, they do.
It's terrible. It's disgusting. I don't like it. And sometimes I don't want to. I brought this up the other day. Someone I was talking to, like some of these women actually fear, off the 4B movement, but some of these ladies actually fear for their lives, like weirdness. They are scared that their rights are going to be taken away. And we heard about the guy who might have hurt himself and his family a couple yesterday with the Minnesota, killed his ex-wife.
Yeah.
You know, I worry about them people. I don't worry about these 250-pound bald ladies, but the more of the mindset of getting to the folks that actually hurt their brains and ruin their lives is what I that's not good.
The rhetoric against the conservative movement is so so at some point so exaggerated that if they latch on to the criticisms that everything it's just going to be like Project 2025 is going to do this and it's going to be that and you're going to be forced to have babies, and if they're latching on to that type of rhetoric which is wrong and they're perceiving it as correct, and I don't want people to be in this position to feel this way, but it's even worse if they're getting there because of propaganda. And maybe it's what you're talking about. It sounds like Elon talks about the woke mind virus. This is like another type of mind virus.
Darker.
I think it's similar. It's related. I think the issue may be that with mass media, you go back to how humans used to operate, and the women hung out with women and the men hung out with men, and there was no mass monoculture, no broadcast towers.
Correct.
What I see now is most media is male. So movies are male, and this, you can call it the patriarchal, whatever you want. But this is why, I noticed this when I was watching some of these conspiracy videos, the way a lot of these women were talking about the election. I was like, it's kind of funny. They're talking like dudes. Notably, without being too crass, when women are making vulgar comments, the comments they make are from a male perspective. So without being crude or crass, I'm not going to repeat them. But they say things that guys say that are
Like locker room talk?
Locker room talk. Women are repeating things they hear from media that come from men, and they're behaving like men. And I've said for a while that feminism is destroying femininity because it is continually telling women to be like men. Yes. I'll give you a simple example outside of women on X talking like guys would talk. It's movies where the main character is a female, punching bad guys and acting like as if she was a guy. Women can fight. They've got MMA and stuff like this. But it's just interesting that every single piece of media where they're like, we're going to make a female lead, she's still doing overtly masculine roles. And women got really angry, feminists, I should say, with the idea that there was a male and a female role. And now what I think we're seeing with all this stuff is the natural conclusion of radical feminism in isolating themselves from natural biology. And I got no beef with it. Like, if they don't want to have kids, they don't have to. I don't care. They can do whatever they want.
Sure.
But there's a reality here. They won't have kids. Their ideas will leave when they leave this earth. They will eventually lose voting power. And there are going to be a lot of cat ladies living in shelter homes.
Is this a fifth wave feminism? Have we hit that spot?
I don't
think so, no.
No?
I don't know.
Just throwing it out there.
I'm just saying, like, people on the right have kids. They're having more kids. And people on the left are not, or they're aborting their kids.
Honestly, I also think that, we're seeing a little bit of it on social media right now. I can't believe it's really that widespread. I can't believe that the people who are into this 4B stuff are.
Oh, that's a good call.
I disagree.
You think there's?
I'm not saying that's millions of women doing it, but you look at that CNN clip where the guy's like, "Stop saying boys," and he's like banging on the table. This is where people are getting their information from. Millions of people who are over 67. That's where they're consuming their information. So it's not necessarily that young people are watching CNN or anything like this, but they are downstream from the hoaxes, as Greg Gutfeld was saying. So when you look at the people who are willing to vote for a Democratic Party that wants to sterilize children, they're in it. They're entrenched in it. 74 million people voted for Kamala Harris. Name one policy she has. I mean, come on. I read this stuff all day, every day, and I can only give you surface level platitudes because she never actually articulated a real plan.
It was Orange Man bad.
And so how did 74 million people... Look, I had someone ask me today, not a conservative. How is Trump going to make the price of butter go down? How does that make sense? Because butter out here is $7.50. And I said he's going to deregulate the energy sector. Namely, the shutting down of the Keystone Pipeline caused mass speculation and fear that we would not have supply to meet demand in 5 years. When Trump reopens Keystone Pipeline, brings fracking back, we're going to see a surplus in energy. Surplus in energy means the price of energy goes down. That means transport at every level, from the farm to bringing the cows there, to bringing the cows there, to getting the machinery, to get the milk, to send the milk to the processing plant. All of that goes down. Butter goes down after the fact. So here at $7.50, I think you could reasonably get it down to $5 really quickly with energy deregulation and mass production of oil and oil exploration in this country. But Trump said all that. And Trump can say that and we go, yeah, no, I understand that. Joe Biden banned fracking on public lands and he shut down the Keystone Pipeline. That was really, really bad for energy in this country. What did Kamala Harris say? I'm going to stop price gouging. That's not going to change that. They're on 1% to 2% margins already. Right. There's no plan there. It means nothing. And 74 million people said, I'm voting for that.
Stopping price gouging is just more class warfare.
I don't want to deviate into the prices. I want to bring it back to, so when we're talking about women who are like, I'm going to 4B and do all of these things, this is where Democrats get their news from random women on TikTok complaining and making no sense. Now, people on the right largely get their news from podcasts, talk radio kind of personalities, Fox News and things like this. It's disparate. It's decentralized. The left, it's relatively decentralized, but it's all downstream of hoaxes. So they live in a broken, fractured reality where they will bang on the table screaming, I will not allow transphobia. You called the trans girl a boy. And it's like every normal person is just like, but that's a boy. Right. So they live in that world where they're watching that news and they're getting their information downstream from it. I would just put it this way. The data that I love to share from 2018, Republicans and conservatives get 2/3 of their news from conservative sources and 1/3 from liberal sources. Moderates get 2/3 of their news from liberal sources and 1/3 from conservative sources. Liberals get 95% from liberal sources. They live in a paranoid, delusional state, best exemplified by liberal pundit Kyle Kulinski saying before the election, Kamala may win Iowa and Florida.
That poll was a joke.
He's supposed to be like a smart pundit guy. Like, what the F?
Kyle Kulinski
Right.
says, my bearish prediction for Kamala Harris that she wins all swing states, Iowa and Florida. Iowa's been trending. Listen, the reason that's so psychotic and why I will say it's the perfect example of these people losing their minds is that Iowa over the past 10 years has continually just become more Republican. How in any rational mind could you be like, 2 years ago in the midterms, it was R plus 10. 2 years later, it'll be D plus 4. That literally makes no sense. And he believed it. He believed it. So many of these people did because they live in a fractured, nightmare, delusional reality.
Well,
so anyway.
We know that
just
the
to
take a breath.
Wrap it all up. When I see the 4B stuff, I'm like, this is the nature of their existence. I'm not saying millions of women are doing it. I'm saying it's not the fringe. It is the Democrats. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.